The Problem with Sean Hannity by the Southern Avenger. When Sean Hannity pulled a fast one during the first hour of his program on Tuesday by pledging support for John McCain and urging his audience to do the same, I posted my disgusted reaction on SouthernAvenger.com. Hannity began the second hour of his program by admitting to listeners he had been pulling their leg and even read 2 angry blogs that had been written during the previous hour. One of them was written by yours truly. While I was glad that the Morning Buzz, Richard Todd, and WTMA got some free advertising, in reading my criticism on his program, the implication was that Hannity was a master manipulator, and I and anyone else who believed his overnight change of heart was a sucker, which on some level was probably true. But that it was so easy to believe Hannity could have changed his mind so quickly, as many of his callers also readily believed that day, is indicative of something a bit deeper than a momentary prank. Hannity and his ilk represent everything that is wrong with the conservative movement, precisely because they aren't the least bit conservative. If the philosophy of the Founding Fathers, adherence to the Constitution, preserving America's identity and cultural traditions, and limited government are indeed bedrock conservative principles, then you certainly won't find anything even remotely related to these subjects on the Sean Hannity program. What you will find is an overpaid, high-profile Republican Party hack. How else does a man who built a career complaining about Slick Willie sing the praises of a flip-flopping phony like Mitt Romney? As one critic put it, Mr. Romney, have you ever changed your mind about something that did not help your political career? How can Hannity complain about John McCain's disloyalty to his party when one remembers that Hannity spent the early primary trying to convince listeners and even Dr. James Dobson that conservatives should support Rudy Giuliani, an anti-gun social liberal who supported Democrat Mario Cuomo over Republican George Pataki for governor of New York? That Giuliani has now endorsed McCain brings Hannity's hypocrisy full circle. Who is Hannity's model for conservatism? George W. Bush, whose administration has refused to enforce America's borders and has grown government even bigger than Bill Clinton. Hannity loves to point to Bush's dismal foreign policy as some sort of triumph, but despite one's opinion on the war, foreign policy in and of itself is not necessarily conservative or liberal. For Hannity or anyone else to insist that it is, that committing troops overseas for extended periods of time is somehow intrinsically conservative, then Franklin Roosevelt, the inventor of the New Deal and modern liberalism, and Lyndon Johnson, the inventor of the Great Society and modern welfare, should be considered 2 of the greatest conservatives of all time. During the 2000 presidential campaign against Al Gore, Bush criticized Clinton's foreign policy in Bosnia, Haiti, and Iraq as arrogant and dangerous nation-building that would lead to problems down the road and possibly a backlash. Hannity agreed with Bush at the time and even asked Bill Clinton to, quote, explain to the mothers and fathers of American servicemen that may come home in body bags why their son or daughter have to give up their life. When Congressman Ron Paul asked the same questions and made the same foreign policy case that Bush did in 2000, Hannity said Paul wasn't a conservative and he sounded like the Democrats. Well, so did Hannity in 2000, as he neither supported the president nor America's foreign policy. Hannity says he is a conservative, yet his actions and who he supports never reflects his rhetoric. So what should we expect from a guy with no principles other than party allegiance to do this election year? Unless Slick Mitt receives the nomination, expect Sean Hannity and his friends on the Stop Hillary Express to slap an engineer cap on John McCain in the near future, as they continue to drag the Republican Party and the conservative movement full steam ahead into political oblivion. For more commentaries, log into SouthernAvenger.com, read my weekly columns in the Charleston City paper, or listen here each Tuesday and Friday to the Southern Avenger, only on 1250 WTMA.